Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Lizzie Stamps. I'm Beth Robinson, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and today I'm going to show you a really fun technique to be used with background stamps. It's called shadow stamping, and this is also called offset stamping. I follow another stamper on YouTube, Jennifer McGuire, and she has always creative techniques and ideas. And I thought that we could definitely incorporate this into our background stamps and our bigger stamps that we offer with Stampin' Up! So I'm going to go and show you now the cards that I've made with this technique. And I'm using the Blossoms in Bloom stamp set, and I really like the background, the watercolor effect that you get from the stamp set. And so I'm using the largest flower image to be doing this technique with today. So I'm going to show you some of the cards that I made. This one I started with Rococo Rose, and I have my Purple Posy cardstock background, a layer of Rococo Rose, and then I stamped the image on with Whisper White onto the Purple Posy. This paper I found to be a little bit light, so it doesn't necessarily give you the effect, but you can see the shadow stamping right here a little bit. You can see the white underneath, and then I let the white dry and then stamped it again with Rococo Rose, and then used Bumblebee to stamp the stamen inside. And then I used some of our Purple Posy linen scalloped ribbon, and then used one of the sentiments, Sure Do Miss You, and ran it through the Big Shot with a flag stitch die. I also used this beautiful floral 3D that comes with our Ornate Garden suite, and it just added a little bit more dimension to the card. And then on the inside, I used more of the images from the Blossoms in Bloom, and I stamped it with Rococo Rose, Pear Pizzazz, and then the Bumblebee. So just a nice little inside. So that's one card. You'll be able to see now the second card that I did you can definitely see the shadow and how this effect really just takes such a great effect. It's wonderful. And so after stamping with white, I used Petal Pink, and I used Mango Melody for the stamen here. And then I ran it through our texture tiled 3D embossing folder, so you get to see that image right there, the nice embossed image that you get, again adding a little bit more depth. And then I added some of our faceted gems that are in clear, and then they have a frosted one, and then they have this nice pink. And then I used our Petal Pink sheer ribbon and layered it with Mango Melody as the card base and Petal Pink. And then I took the sentiment, so the sentiment here is Thinking of You, and it's stamped just that. And what I did is I stamped it with crumb cake, and then I just cut it out and pieced it out and raised it with dimensionals. And then I opened it. This card is going this way, and again just stamp Petal Pink and then your Mango Melody on the inside of the flower. So I really like that card. Now, the card we're going to be making today is this card. And this, again, you can definitely see the shadow stamping. And I'm using some terracotta tile card base with a layer of Rococo Rose and our crumb cake, cardstock. So what I've already done, but I'm going to show you, the really fun thing to use with this technique is our Stamparatus. And on page, if you look on page 164, it gives you everything that you need to get for the Stamparatus. So you get your Stamparatus, it's $49. So when you get your Stamparatus, you'll get two. It comes like this, and I already have the stamped image on there. But you're gonna get two of these plates. So there's a lot of different ways that you can stamp one side and flip it over and stamp another layer. This is a really great stamp positioning tool. It comes with two of these very thick magnets right here. And I put a little bit of washi tape. It's easier to lift up when I have the washi tape on there. And then underneath, I'm gonna show you, underneath you'll notice that there's storage for the magnets. The magnets are extremely strong. You never want to get them close together. But the magnet just helps hold the paper in place. And we also sell a pack of the grid paper that fits the Stamparatus. And also with you get a foam mat. Again, you have a grid underneath here. So when you're using the red rubber stamps, you don't necessarily have to have the foam on top, but I always like the foam. It just gives an extra push. So, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and lay that down there. And so right now, what I've done first is I'm going to take our crumb cake. Here we go. And I like to have I like to have the stamp set underneath that I'm working with, just so it lays flat. So when you're inking up the paper, it makes it a lot easier. Let me move this around. So, all right. Hopefully you can see that. There we go. All right. So what I'm going to do is I have my craft sheet that I've already cut to 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And I'm going to put it up in the corner. And before you ink up your image, you're going to want to lay your stamp over the card base, and then you're just going to flip over the platform and let it pick up the stamp. So I already did that, so I already know it's already in position to go, because you can leave this on, and if you're doing multiple cards, it's easy to put together. You can just keep stamping, move on to the next card. So I'm going to use our white craft ink. This is it's more pigment. It's very sticky, but I've already inked it up, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to push the stamp ink to the stamp, make sure it's covered, and then I'm going to go ahead and push it over, push down, and I'm doing it really, I'm just trying to get, because this is white pigment ink, more of a craft, thicker ink, I really want to get everything on there. So you see I've missed some spots. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure I put more pressure up here. And there we go. And I notice I want a little bit more. So again, I can ink it up. There we go. Press down. Normally when you're stamping with this, you don't necessarily have to push down as hard, but when you're using the craft ink. So I like how that came out. I think that's nice. You've got some areas that have a little bit more white than the others, but I think that's perfect. So now what we're going to do, and you're going to want to let this dry, or you can use a heat gun, but I've already stamped another image. But what you want to do is I have a paper towel right here, and I'm just going to go ahead and wipe off the white, because I don't want to take my stamped image off of the platform just yet because we are doing this technique. So take that off. And if I notice a little bit more is on there, I'm just going to go ahead and get my stamp gloss and clean it off. Go. And that just cleans it off. Okay. So now we're going to be ready to stamp the next layer. There. Okay. So for the next layer, so this is the one we just stamped. And I'm going to go ahead and use the other one that I've already stamped. And this one's a little bit drier. So we're going to let that one go off to the side. So now what you're going to do is that you are going to, when it was up here in the corner when we stamped our first image in the white, I'm just going to bring it down. You'll have these lines. I'm going to bring it down to the second line, and that's about 1/8 of an inch. And again, I'm just going to put my magnet to position it, and then I'm going to take Rococo Rose. And now what we're going to do, again, I'm using my stamp set as a level, and I'm just going to go ahead and stamp all around. And remember, when you are using these kind of distinctive stamps or watercolor stamps, it's going to have a shadowing effect to begin with, so you're not going to get the whole image inked up. That's the beauty of it. So now I'm going to do, so what I've done, again, I've pushed the card down about 1/8 of an inch, and I have it in place, and then I'm just going to go ahead and stamp. And you'll notice I just don't have to be putting so much pressure on. I'm going to lift it up. And again, I still have this area, so I might just go ahead and put a little bit more pressure. And again, the paper's not going to move because you have the magnet holding it down, so it's easier. There we go. I sort of like that effect. So here we have the shadow or offset effect. I love it. I think it's so much fun. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this off. And if I continue, I'm going to make more of these. I can leave this on if I'd like. There we go. And when I store this Stamparatus with the 2 plates, you don't want to keep the 2 plates together. So what I usually do is I just store one and I lay one on the top and then take it and store it that way. Okay, so now we have our stamped image. It is going to be a little wet still because sometimes when you're stamping on top of craft ink, it takes a little bit to dry, so you can air dry it a little bit. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to add the stamen part with the terracotta tile. I'm going to go ahead and just go ahead, and it doesn't matter how you stamp it. It's okay if it's offset a little bit. Remember, not every flower is the same. There we go. And now I've made all the flowers. And that's the finished part of our card. So I'm going to let that dry a little bit, and then we're going to do the inside of the card. So like I did in this card, I just did one little flower and then just the inside part. So we're going to do that. So I'm going to take Rococo, I'm going to take my white. This is the inside of my card. I'm going to let this dry a little bit longer. And I'm going to take my flower image. I already have it on. Take Rococo Rose. I'm going to stamp and And just place the flower there. There we go. So you notice the shadowing effect that you get with the flower. Now that's finished, and then I'm going to use terracotta again and just stamp the middle, just like this. There you go. I could add some leaves if I want to, but I just like the nice simpleness of the stamp set of the flower. Okay, so that's done. So we're gonna take, I've already folded a piece of 8.5 by 11. I cut it at 4 1/4, and actually, I'm sorry, I cut it at 5 1/2 and scored at 4 1/4. And I'm gonna go ahead and take our new Stampin' Seal and just there, and we're going to go ahead, put it on the inside of your card. Okay. Another important thing I want you all to remember is that always let the people know that it's a handmade card. Back in, I don't know, 5 years ago, Stampin' Up! Still had personalized stamps that we could make. And I use this a lot. And when I'm using it, I have the Stampin' Up! Trademark there as well. So if I want to sell my cards, I can sell it with the Stampin' Up! Trademark. And then I'm just going to go ahead and stamp the back. That's important. We do carry some stamp sets in the catalog that have the Stampin' Up! Logo on, so that if you do want to send your cards or mail your cards, so you can do that. But I'm hoping they come back with the personalized stamps. It's really nice to have. And I just keep it my container and put it back. So there we go. All right, now for the front of the card. So now what we're going to do is we have our linen thread. Make sure I put everything. And I'm going to do this effect where it looks like I've layered it. I've wrapped it around 3 times. So I'm going to go ahead and take out, this is our nice linen thread. It's very easy to use. And to start with, I'm just going to add a little bit of tape runner to the back of the card. So I only added a little bit of tape runner, and then I'm just going to push it down, and now I'm going to wrap my card around. So I'm going to go around 1, 2, there we go, 2, and 3. And then wrap it around all the way to the back to that where that pieces that I added of the Stampin' Seal, and there we go. So here you have this crisscross effect. I like that. If you wanted to, you can add a bow here if you'd like to, and then you can have the saying right here. So I might add the bow. But I'm going to go ahead and layer it onto my Rococo Rose. I'm going to turn it over. I really like the new Stampin' Seal. This one is a little bit, it adheres better than our old tape runner, so I really like that. Okay. So there you have your layer. And then we're going to add dimensionals to lay that on top. So I'm going to go ahead and get some dimensionals, and then we'll finish up the rest of the card. If you wanted to step up the card a little bit before you layered your stamped image piece, I would have run that through the Big Shot. So on the other cards that I did, like this one that has the textured tiled 3D, that gives it a little bit more dimension. I would have done that, or the flowers. But I'm going to just keep it plain. So now what we're going to do is I have a piece of Rococo Rose at 1/2 inch, and I have a strip of this. And this is our new lovely label Pick-a-Punch, and it has 2 different edges, and you can do it at a 1 inch width, a 3/4 inch width, or a 1/2 inch width. We're using this one today, so you can layer the label if you wanted to. So what I've done is I've already cut one edge of it, and then I'm going to stamp my image. Well, actually, before I do that, I'm going to cut it down to what image whatever I'm going to stamp. So I used Thank You on the other one, and what I'm going to use now is the Happy Birthday. And I'm going to stamp that in in crumb cake. I always like to call it craft, but it's crumb cake. All right, so great thing about the grid paper, it helps me line up my stamp onto the block. Now I'm going to use crumb cake. Actually, before we do that, well, no, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, and then because this is photopolymer, I like to use our foam mat. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp the image. There we go. Happy birthday. Close it off. Okay, so now I'm going to cut, and then I want to cut the edge using the label. So I like turning it upside down and pushing it in. And as you can see, I want to make it level or even. I find if I just push it in there and try to do it the other way, it becomes uneven. So there we go. I'm just going to push it down there. And there we have our happy birthday. Okay. And I'm ready to put it on my card. All right. So I think what I'm going to do is, the other card I laid it right over like this, but I think I want it to go down here, and I might do a bow this time. So I'm going to add some dimensionals. And lay the card there. Now, of course, I think it's a little too plain, so I have my Elegant Faceted Gems. And this comes with our peony bundle in the catalog. But I'm going to go ahead, and this time I want to add these pink. I just want to add one to each edge just to give it a little bit more bling, because I have to have a little bit of bling. And then I want to add a few more of the Faceted Gems. This one has a nice little frosted one to it, and then we have a smaller of the, there we go, there, and then one more, because I like to do things in odds and even, so either 2 or 3. So there we go. So that has enough of the bling on there as well. And then I think what we're going to do, we'll see if we like it. We're going to try and see if we like the bow. So I have a little cheat bow maker that I like to use. This was, there's quite a few of them out on the market. Stampin' Up! Doesn't make one, but I like using it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to wrap it around 2 times. So I've spaced it out the way I want my bow, how my bow's going to look. And then I'm going to wrap it around 1 time, 2 times, and then, so it will be a double bow. I'm going to tie the knot and tie it real tight. There we go. Cut it off and then lift it up. And so it's ready to go. So I can spread this out the way I want to. There we go. So on the card, oh, I like that. So on the card, what I'm going to do is take a glue dot and I'm going to just pull a glue dot off, and make it a little bit smaller so it just lays right there on the back of the knot of the bow. And then I'm going to go ahead and just lay that there. There we go. So here you have it. And then if you want to, you can trim up your edges a little bit. Sometimes I like them hanging over. There we go. Okay, so here is the final. Move everything back, put everything away. And here is the final product. I think this is just a really fun technique to use. And when you're using the Stamparatus, there's a lot of great techniques that you can use with it. So I'm going to be showing some more videos using the Stamparatus because I do love it, and it just makes cards so much easier with the stamping. But I do love this shadow offset stamping, and hopefully you can get lots of variations of the cards. I was happy with all the different variations that I made, and just a way to incorporate those background stamps as well, which is really nice. So I wanted to let you know that for the rest of July and through August, I think 3rd, is bonus days. So for every $50 you spend, you can earn a $5 coupon that Stampin' Up! Will email you with a coupon code to use in August. So that's a lot. That's great. It's awesome to have. And here's the Hostess code for July. You can go on to my website, bethrobinson.stampinup.net, and you can place an order, and at the very end it will ask for a Hostess code, and you can put in this Hostess code. I will have it in the description below, the Hostess code, that if you would like to use it, it's just a great way to add up some money to buy some other great things that you want to get. So that's what we have going on right now. And also, if you want to follow me on Lizzie Stampin' Up on my Facebook page, and you can also follow me at Lizzie Stamps on Instagram. And I also have my blog at which is lizziestamps.com. So I really hope that you enjoyed this video today. Oh, going a little crazy. There you go. And I really hope you enjoyed this video today, and I hope you'll give it a try. And if you do, put it on my Facebook page. I would love to see it. I would love to see all your creations. So hope you enjoyed it, and have a great day. Happy stamping.